This is Attorney Tim Crawford. I am an elder law attorney here in the state of Wisconsin, and I specialize in helping families so they do not have to spend their money paying for nursing home care costs. And that also could include spending money to pay for other long-term care costs, such as assisted living, and paying somebody to come into your home, which we call home care. So the concept is, when you are in need of care, long-term care, we are here to help you. And what we're going to talk about today is a strategy that we have developed that we use for families when neither of them are in the nursing home. So this is an advanced planning strategy. The best time to do this strategy is now. We really need to make sure that you do it 5 years in advance of needing to go into a nursing home or other form of long-term care. So that's when we try to use this strategy as part of a pre-planning structure. Now, again, it works even if you don't make the 5 years. It's just not as beneficial as if you can do this strategy and then not need to apply for benefits from the government to pay for your long-term care costs for the next 5 years. So the strategy we're going to talk about today is an asset protection trust. Yes, remember there are approximately 200 different kinds of trust, and each one has its own use and its own purpose. Well, this is the trust that we use to qualify under the government rules so that you can have assets in this trust, and when you apply for benefits and you have to have your assets below $2,000 as a widow or widower or a single person, you do not have to count the assets inside the trust. Even if you tell the government about it, they cannot punish you for having assets inside the trust. So, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to give my assets away. So we designed the trust in a manner to make those assets usable by you, but not countable. Now, we still have to abide by certain rules. And one of the rules is we can't put a provision in the trust that says, if you ask the trust for money, you will get it. No, but we do as best as we can and get you as close as we can to that situation. So what do? We first set up the trust to make sure that all the investment income, the interest and the dividends and any other income that's in there, goes to you during your lifetime. So that happens from the first day we set up the trust until the day you die. You will get the income. So that doesn't change much in your life, even though you've transferred some, but not all, of your assets into the trust. Well, what else do we do? In addition to you getting income, we have you keep assets. We don't want you to put everything into the trust. And those assets we want you to use and spend. Do whatever you want with them. Those are your assets. And sometimes what happens is your assets are all spent. And now you have to live on your income. Well, you've been drawing $1,000 a month out of your savings accounts to use to spend, cashing in your CDs, but they're all gone. And now you're worried, how am I going to survive? Well, what we have put into the trust is a provision that says if you come to the trust and ask for money, the trust has to say you can't have it. That's a government rule. However, we put a provision in the trust that says if Kid A comes and asks the trust for money, that then opens up the door so that the trust can pay principal out to a child or other person selected by the trust. Now, what we're hoping for is after that money's been aged for 30 days in compliance with government law, that person that you gave the trust gave that money to will actually turn around and either give you the money or lend the money to you, whichever is appropriate. So the end result is the money that's put into the trust does not count as an asset when you are applying for government help. So it's a lot easier to start getting benefit checks from the government immediately upon you entering the nursing home. And for most people, there might be a lag, but it might be 30 days, 60 days. It's not until all your money has been spent down. So, here's what we do. We have the money in the trust. If we need it to maybe pay for a period of time that you're not eligible for a check from the government, that money can work its way out of the trust to a kid, and the kid can pay for your care and even take a tax deduction for it. Wow, we think of everything. If you just need money while you're alive and healthy, we can run it through a kid and get it out to you. If we need money to pay for a private room, maybe that's $1,000 a month, and the government says, we won't pay for that, but we'll pay for the normal expenses, we can get that $1,000 a month out of the trust and over to you. So when you look at it, you'd say, well, what are the negatives? The negatives are very few. Okay, we've solved tax problems, so you report the income. We don't have the trust paying income tax on it. We have solved the other problem of what happens if I run out of money. And some people say, well, the problem is I just don't have the money in my savings account. I don't have complete control over that money. Yes, I have to agree with you. You don't have complete control over the money. But that's a positive, not a negative. Because if you had complete control over the money and you were in the nursing home, you would need to spend that money on your care. Now, we've just touched the tip of the iceberg in this little short video. So I would encourage you to contact our office at 262-634-6659 so that you can find out more about the Asset Protection Trust. It works wonders for your home. It works wonders for your financial assets. Some people just put their home into it, and they don't put financial assets in. That happens to about a third of the clients I work with, because they just can't lose control over their financial assets. But when they put the home into the trust, they find out that they can tell the trust, order the trust, sell that home, order the trust, buy me a new one, order the trust, how to invest the money from the sale of the home. It's wonderful. They live in it. They have the rights to use and occupy the house. Of course, parents still pay the expenses of the house. But that's why they get to deduct the property taxes that they're paying instead of losing that deduction. And we designed the trust in such a manner that they can keep the tax-free sale of the house feature that they currently have. They will still have that after they transfer the home into the trust. So there's a situation where everything is wonderful, there's no real negatives, and we encourage people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s to think about doing this, but definitely by the time you're 70, you should be making sure that you have your home protected. Now, don't think that, well, I'm never going to the nursing home. That is not good. That is not a good way of thinking, because we have to remember that 60% of us are going to need some form of long-term care before we die. Not all of that's in the nursing home. A lot of it's provided by family. But when you get sick enough, the family can't care for you, and that's when you end up in the nursing home. And so important, because nursing home care costs can be $10,000 a month or more. So, most of my families do not have that much income to pay for it, so they would have to use their assets. And eventually those assets run out, and they go on government benefits. Now they have no money anywhere that they can use to pay for a private room to make their stay better in the nursing home. And they may not be able to even give an inheritance to their kids. But that's just not as important as making sure that you have a quality of stay when you're in the nursing home. You just want a better quality of life. And that's what being able to pay for a private room can do for you. This way the government pays, and you just pay a small amount to get the private room. But again, this is something that you should think about, and contact our office for a free consultation at 262-634-6659. We thank you for listening and watching this little short video. Thank you.